Thanks everybody and good evening. And so the reason for the microphone for Melanie and for Ali and for the rest of us this evening, as you can see, we're recording this presentation. So the actual video will be on our website tomorrow. So we have the presentation itself, the video, so if you want to go back and watch, there's opportunities for some feedback. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But again, my name is Dennis Caria. I'm the Executive Director of Facilities Management. I'm joined by members of my team throughout, and we're going to talk about the exciting move from J.T. Williams to Luigi Davis and the changes that we're making there. And again, I think one of the things that Ali said is sort of true about all of this. What we're trying to do is actually invest in the Montessori program, pre-K through 12th grade, and that's what all of these moves are about. So the move to Sedgefield, the move that Chantilly is going to make to Billingsville ultimately, it's about making sure we have adequately sized feeder schools to support the 7-12 program here and have it in the right location so that it can grow and expand and make sure that we're protecting it for the future. So that's what's driving all of this. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vincent Spencer, and he's going to walk you through an exercise.
Thank you, Dennis. Good evening, everyone. So glad to see each and every one of you here today. My name is Vincent Spencer, CMS Senior Design Manager for Design. And we have an exercise. You all should have received one of these postcards here. If not, you see the QR code on the screen. We do ask that you scan that real quickly here. And as a quick reminder, if anyone needs Spanish interpretation, we do have a Spanish interpreter here with us. This feedback that we are asking of you, we want to make sure that we are constantly learning, hearing, seeing from our constituents, our wonderful parents like yourselves, who are the voice of the school. So we want to hear from each and every one of you. When you scan this QR code, it will take you to this website that you see up here on the screen on the right-hand side. And I want you to click on that feedback link. From that feedback link, it'll take you to our menti.com website. And we have a question that we want to ask each and every one of you when it comes up. It's going to ask you, what excites you about this project? What excites you about this project? So we're going to do this live right here, right now. Don't be shy. Don't say anything negative. I'm joking. But please do interact with us. We are recording this. We want to hear your feedback because we're always looking for ways to improve. We're doing this throughout the entire county for all of the 2023 bond projects. Your feedback is important to us, and most importantly, all the energy that we're receiving here today. So, what excites you about this project? We've got 2 wins so far. The growth, the opportunities for growth, the investment into our students. That is wonderful. The possibilities. We know our superintendent's theme here is endless possibilities, so that is absolutely great. Safety, location and proximity to, having a home, having somewhere that we can call your home yourselves. You can take pride in the facility and take pride in the things that they're going to do. Agriculture, invest in futures. Again, other opportunities nearby. This is wonderful. We're up to almost 30 responses. Thank you so much, everyone, for interacting with us. We do have more that we're going to ask you at the conclusion of the presentation. And then after that, we will have questions and answers. We have more exciting questions and more interactive feedback that we want to have from each and every one of you. So with that, I'm going to ask our architect to please come up here. Mr. Hamilton Cort with McMillan, Pazdan, Smith, and he's going to walk you through this exciting project.
Great, thank you, Vincent. All right, so to begin with, this is just kind of an agenda for what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to show you kind of where Luigi Davis is in the world in Charlotte and proximity to where you are. And then I'm going to kind of describe what's going to be going on there. There's a demolition portion of the project. There's actually 2 facilities on campus. We'll get into that more later. And then there's an interiors project and a project of kind of upfitting immediately around the building, some of the grounds for some of the outdoor instructional spaces. We're going to go over the schedule, where we are in the schedule today, and then open it up for questions after that. All right, so we are currently up here at the intersection of 77 and 85. Luigi Davis is down South Boulevard, kind of in between South Boulevard, well, actually South Tryon Street and 77. So if you're familiar with the Remount exit and the Clanton exit, it's kind of in between those two exits. Get a little bit closer in, you can see Southside Park and Revolution Park, the Clanton Road exit on the bottom there, and then Remount exit, and then South Tryon Street. Start to see South Boulevard there. And so this is kind of zoomed in a little bit closer. You can see that there's a lot of buildings on campus, and the buildings to the left is kind of the original portion that's going to be removed as a part of this project and create some open space on campus. There's a football field and a running track down toward the lower portion of the campus, and the portion that's going to be maintained is up there closer to the intersection of Bank Street and Griffith Street. If you were up in the air kind of looking at Bank Street and Griffith Street, you'd be kind of looking down this way from the schools here off of Griffith Street. In the back are the buildings that are no longer in use. And as we finish it up, when we move in, those buildings will be gone in the back. There'll be green space, and there's going to be a lot of experiential learning and outdoor instructional space in an improved courtyard in a renovated school. All right, so the two big portions, like I was explaining before, are the demolition and the renovation. This is kind of we're not having to renovate the entire school. It's currently being used as a K-8 school. So a lot of the learning environments are kind of oriented towards smaller kids. There's some K-1 toilets that are in there, low marker boards. So the renovation is going to touch many of the classrooms, but we're going to be concentrating renovations just kind of in these portions. So if you remember the overall site plan, the building at Banks and Griffiths over here to the right of the screen, and these are the buildings that are coming down. When it was originally constructed, the vision was that these two campuses, the older campus and the new campus, would kind of work together and they'd be able to provide an instruction together. But it's going to work a lot better. Those buildings have aged and they've kind of served their useful life. So here's what the campus looks like if you're flying up above the football field. And so when all those buildings are gone, there'll be a large open space there. I want to talk about the interior renovations. So the building was constructed in 2008. So it meets a lot of the district's current standards. Originally it was built for a 712, but the program has changed since 2008. There's some things that have come into play, maker spaces, and of course the Montessori program. So this building wasn't constructed with that program in mind, so we are making some renovation updates for that. So the front entry, so Banks and Griffith are here, again on the upper right. So the front entry is there. The bus entry would be from the south side, and then deliveries for kitchen and things like that from the bus. We'll go in a little bit, explain each one of these renovations a little bit further as we move through. It is a two-story building, so you've got admin. So as you come in, you've got the admin area here and a media center, and it's all oriented around a courtyard. So this white space in the middle is a courtyard. And then this corridor kind of overlooks the courtyard as you come through. And then this portion here is a two-story classroom. There's a gymnasium, there's a sports portion is here, where the two of those meet. The cafeteria is here. So there are two stairwells. There's a nice open atrium here for this stairwell, and then this is a nice stairwell with glass and glazing around it. So and then this is the second floor. So in general, the middle school is going to be on the lower floor, and the high school is going to be on the upper floor. There's a little bit of just based on where the labs are and the art is, it's going to be a little bit overlapping, but in general, that's where we are. Kind of talk through some of these here. So outside, we'll be putting in an outdoor. So we're improving this courtyard. Currently, the courtyard really has not even sidewalks in it. It's just grass. And so we'll be adding sidewalks, but also adding a dining area that's immediately adjacent to the cafeteria to kind of activate that and key into some of the key components of Montessori philosophy. And then within the courtyard and the sidewalk pathways, there are going to be some intentional spaces for outdoor learning and instruction. We'll get into more of the community garden and greenhouse as we go. So I'm going to lead you through the building as we walk into the front entry. Some of these are kind of nuts and bolts types of things to bring the building up to the current standards, and a lot of those, so one of those things has to do with safety and security. So the current building has a Helios credential verification system at the very front door, but the district standard is to have multiple layers of that credential verification. So you go up and you present to the Helios camera system and talk to the receptionist. But beyond that, there's a secure place to go through the lobby guard. And then you're let into the reception area before you're then let into the main school. So there's kind of three levels of security there. That first portion at the Helios camera, the second portion in the security vestibule, present to the lobby guard. There's also a transaction window there, so you can talk to the receptionist or simply go through the lobby guard. So there's two options there, and then from the check-in, you're then led through the door directly into the reception area, and then the receptionist and the office staff can kind of put you together with your guide or the person that's going to lead you around or let you in if you know where you're going. This is a computer rendering of the new layout. It's very similar to the current layout if you've ever been into Reggie Davis. The addition, they currently have a single door in, so that second door here necessitates this reception desk kind of moving back. So it gives us a great opportunity to kind of redo the reception area, give it a fresh look, and a little bit of branding to kind of go along with this school. So as we go in, the media center is 2008, and so the flooring is starting to wear. The circulation desk is a little bit outdated, and there's some modern equipment that's going to be put in there. So these are some just renderings of what the new media center will look like. This is a photograph that better represents kind of the new media center equipment that's being used in the district. The old media workroom is kind of evolved in the new standards. That space is being better utilized to bring kids in and interact with some of the equipment that's in there. So those are kind of maker spaces where the media specialist might be able to have access to some specialized equipment, but kids do too, and there's a lot of experiential learning in those maker spaces. I'm sure you're familiar with those around the district. This is an interior rendering of what the new space will look like. And then in the dining area over there they have it's very similar to this. It's I guess you could call it a cafetorium, but the stage is located off the dining area. But one of the problems is the acoustics are, you really want to have an absorptive material on the back wall of a performance space. It's got a big concrete block wall, or I guess it's a chip wall, but so we'll be adding some branded, when I say branded, just like the logo colors of the school, some absorptive material there to improve this as a performance space, but also these previously were just static windows that really didn't give the connection to the outdoors that's so important in the Montessori environment. So these are being replaced with double doors, and then the other in plan from the dining out to the outdoor mode. There's a space immediately off of the cafeteria. It's currently a lab that is being updated to be a theater arts classroom. It's about a 1,000 square foot room. Down the classroom wing, these were some kindergarten classrooms that had the little kiddie toilets. We're taking those out, and one of the new things that the school district has added to their program is a wellness room for staff and employees. And wellness rooms are rooms where staff can kind of, it's different from a workroom. It's a place where staff can kind of collect themselves if they need to, maybe just have a little bit of alone time, maybe sit down with a colleague and talk through things in a little bit calmer environment than a workroom or a classroom. So that includes sort of a sitting area, sort of a kitchen area, but also 2 small private rooms. Across the hall, there are more of those K1 toilets that are being renovated into the modified restroom. It's a standard component in all CMS schools. These give access to adjacent classrooms and the hallway for EC students. It allows those classrooms that are adjacent to them to be used for EC if needed, or it allows access for non-classroom kids, maybe mainstream kids that need access to that room directly out the hallway. So that's a component. And then on the second floor, there's an old science lab, and that science lab is where we're going to convert to the life sciences, or the life skills classroom that hopefully you're familiar with at the Montessori school. There are two kitchen sets within that, residential kitchen sets, and it differs a little bit from a standard CMS curriculum in that there's what we understood from kind of talking with the way J.T. Williams is used is it's kind of a staging area for some of the experiential learning trips and things like that. So there's a lot more storage in this room, and of course the laundry equipment. So then we talk about the site upgrades. We showed you this image earlier. Currently, like I said, it's a K-8 school, so there are playgrounds, and really there's 0 amenities in the courtyard as it stands right now. There's I think there's a mindfulness chair, which you're actually going to retain. It's a neat kind of oversized Adirondack-looking chair. So we're going to make accommodations for that. And so once we're done, we'll have a greenhouse here that will also incorporate the chicken coop. Beehives will be here. This area is envisioned, it's obviously raised beds, but the thought is the raised beds that are directly associated with sort of the greenhouse curriculum might be over here. These raised beds give an opportunity for interaction with the community around it. So because of its proximity to Bank Street, we felt like this is the best opportunity to perhaps provide garden space for community gardening. So I think I've covered this a good bit as we've been going along, but there is a peace pole in the, actually I think the adjacent campus may have been used as Montessori at one point, so it actually has its own peace pole there. I think that we may be bringing the peace pole over from this facility as well, but either way there's a place for the peace pole in the improved courtyard. The contract includes accommodations to improve this space so that it has shading for comfortable outdoor learning within that courtyard. And this is an artistic rendering of what that interior courtyard would look like. And when we start, those trees aren't going to be that big, but hopefully as it grows in, they'll fill out and be able to provide some shade from the trees as well. If you're looking at the school kind of along Bank Street here and envision these being community gardens, the greenhouse here, and then the chicken coop adjacent to that, we have as well around here. The GOAT curriculum, or the GOATs have space, and there is a portion of the campus here just beyond the bus parking lot. And within the campus, within this parking area, so this existing parking area is going to be utilized for student parking. So we're able to accommodate the full program for the goods without even getting into this larger green space here. So it really leaves this as a blank slate for how that's used in the future for the goods and up there. I don't know, but we've got the space for them within that portion. So if you're kind of looking at it from the back as we were earlier, it's this triangular portion as you kind of look in here, this being some of the student parking. These are some artistic renderings. The chicken coop and storage container will be out this way, and so all the experiential learning components there. And backing up. So that kind of concludes the design portion. We're going to hop on to questions here in just a second. But I wanted to kind of update you guys on the schedule of where we were. We began in October of 2023 and went through a period of design and permitting. And the project was put out for bids in January. And we are currently here, and so we've awarded the contract and getting ready to start construction very soon. The construction will be broken up into multiple phases. The Montessori campus move-in will actually be out here in August, September of 2026. The things that are going to be going on between now and then, this summer we're going to be doing some of the nuts and bolts things that I was talking to you about as far as upgrading the security and doing some of the things that we can do to the campus that aren't going to affect the little ones, the K-8s. After this summer, we'll be doing some things that won't impact the curriculum there, which is mainly just demolition of the exterior buildings. And then next summer is when, so that would be summer of 2026, in the summer before J.T. Williams moves over there. That will be the summer where we'll be converting a lot of the interior spaces from that K-8 environment over to the 712 environment and doing a lot of Montessori specific things to the campus to upgrade it and get it ready for y'all to move in. All right, I think that's it. And we can, if you want to do, you tell me if you want to kick it back to you want to do question and answers now, or you want to do the.
Help me out on that one. I'm back. And we are going to ask you to return to that QR code. You will need a username, password, and the last four of your social. I'm joking. It will take you immediately back to that website. And so with that, we do have another series of questions that we would love for you to give us feedback on. I know I mentioned it earlier, but in all seriousness, we are absolutely excited about your feedback, positive, constructive. We have to do these project update meetings for everywhere. We are doing every bond project update meeting, so you can imagine we're doing several iterations for each bond project, and we can't improve without your great feedback. We're always critiquing ourselves, but nothing is not like your direct parent and staff feedback. So please do go to the QR code, go to the Minty website, and the first question we have here is, what is one new thing you learned about the project? What is one new thing you learned about the project with this presentation? You learned about the timeline, the schedule of the project. You learned about the layout of the spaces, some of the spatial concerns that you may have had, the GOAT curriculum. All right, that's fantastic. We're all excited about the goats and the chicken coop. Wellness room, the community garden. Awesome, awesome. I need more than what we had for the last question. Last question, you spoiled me with almost 30 responses. If I could get some more, it would certainly appreciate it. We had 50. All right, so we got a ways to go. Thank you so much for this. The August 2026 move-in, the outdoor learning areas, the greenhouse, the kitchen, that there is no barn, there is a plan. Absolutely. Places for animals. This is fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much for this feedback, because again, we are utilizing this information to continue to improve, because we're doing these presentations several times for each bond project. So again, while each of them are unique, we still want to improve holistically on all of these. And please be reminded, these will be shared on the website. You can always go to cmsbondconstruction.com. It is on 24/7, 365 to answer any questions that you may have. And not only is this for tonight, but you can go back, sleep on it. If you have some more questions, you can go right back to this form and give more feedback. It is not a static site. You can go back multiple times. If you think of something new, we know it's a lot of information, but if you think of something new, or you talk with a fellow parent, and you have some ideas, or you have some thoughts, or some more questions, we are ready for those and encourage those from you. All right, we're at 44, so I think we're tracking pretty good. We're going to go to the next question that we have here. How would you rate the presentation? We're going to have a question and answer after this, but how would you rate the presentation? Again, we're looking to improve in every possible way we can, and we want to make sure the presentation that the architects are providing are answering your questions to the best of their knowledge. Obviously, we can't address every single thing, but we want to make sure that this information we're providing to you is action-packed and answering all of your questions up front as much as possible, because what you may ask, we probably can't address on another project, or we will address it certainly as we receive it and in the next project update meeting. So great, I see we're getting a lot of great ratings here. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And then I think we are now on to the next portion, where we just want to reiterate to everyone, again, please go to the CMS Bond Construction website. This presentation, as Dennis mentioned at the beginning, it is being recorded. We do have Spanish interpreters for anyone who needs that language spoken, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. There's tons of information there. You can get everything that you need. With that, I'll turn it over to Dennis, and he'll field our question and answer session.
Perfect, yeah, so we're open for questions now. Mike Higgins is walking around with a microphone, so you'll just raise your hand so we can capture it for the folks at home.
Hi, I may have missed it, but are the science labs separate from the classrooms, or are they together inside the classroom? The
So
science lab?
there are separate science classrooms there, and they're actually they have science equipment in them, so they're
Separate from the classroom.
they're separate from the classroom. That's correct. And there are I think there are 3 science specific on the ground floor and 3 science specific on the top floor.
Are there any plans for remediation of the soil of the buildings that are done?
The plan, so there is within the CMS, if they encounter anything that needs to be remediated, it will. But I think they've done like a phase 1 site assessment on the site to determine if there are remediation that needs to be done on the back portion of the site. And I don't think they identified any. It's been a school site since 1956. So, and I don't think it was a developed site when they built it. And some of that's in the phase 1 study, but they've looked at it and they're in pretty good shape.
What's the total classroom capacity?
There are 30 classrooms, and like if you count the gymnasium as a learning space, then maybe 32 or something like that. The building was built as a 712, I think it was built as a 700 student 712. I think we're kind of envisioning this as more like a 600 student max, and so I think you're at 400 now, and so you're moving over a 400. So there's room to grow over there within both the classroom area and the core space.
So our nominal capacity, what we're figuring that is 25 students per classroom. So take the 30 times 25, and that's what we would say in school capacity would be with that foot.
Next question.
With the move-in date being scheduled August, September, it seems like best case scenario that's going to overlap with the beginning of the school year. So A, how are we to move in when school by the calendar seems to have already started? And attached to that, what sort of contingency exists for what appears to be any delay which would push us further into the school?
So it's not August, September. August 25th comes once a year, and we hit that mark. So you'll be in for the first day of school at the Murray G campus, right? So recognize that there's nothing that's slipping into September. There may still be some site work and things that we're finishing up exterior that may take a little bit of time, but as far as the work that's done inside the school and occupancy of the school, we will be there for the first day of school in 2026. All that said, so I think Hamilton hit on this. This iteration of Murray G. Davis was built for a 612 military global leadership magnet program. So it was envisioned to be a magnet school that encompassed the middle and high school grades, which is what we're going to be using the building for. So there were modifications that were made to take the smaller kiddos in, restroom, toilet heights, things like that. But there's absolutely nothing that actually precludes us from going and doing 712 school there today. So recognizing that we're making other improvements and we're making Montessori specific changes, but there wouldn't be anything wrong with going and moving JT Williams tomorrow as is. So there really isn't any need for contingency plans per se, and we're very comfortable with the scope of the work and being able to deliver everything and being in there for the start of the school year.
And I'll just say, as far as, I work in a lot of districts across North Carolina, and there's varying degrees of timeliness for contractors, and the staff at CMS holds those move-in dates hard and fast and puts the highest priority on those move-in dates. And they may have missed a move-in date within the last 25 years, but I'm not aware of one, and if they did, it was way extenuating circumstances. So I have high confidence in this district in getting their schools open on time.
So, I might have missed this, but I was wondering if there's going to be a barn, and if there's not going to be, is there a specific reason to why?
So we do not have a barn within the curriculum, or within the upfit contract right now. There is a greenhouse and there is a chicken coop. There's some structures to help out with the goat group, but currently a new barn was not in the contract.
How was it determined what elective space would be used? I will second, we were really hoping for a barn. And I know several of us were really hoping for more space for band and for theater, and at least on the floor plan, it doesn't appear that those spaces are really an upgrade. It's a little hard to tell, obviously, on the floor plan, but we're really hoping for more elective space in the barn.
So, all right, we'll talk about the barn, but as far as the way that we go about designing the school and the way that we do the program, we have a series of kickoff meetings that are held with our internal stakeholders, including the principals. So we're getting feedback from the school leadership on the curriculum, on the electives, on the things that we need to offer, as well as the district folks who are responsible for those things. We will do a community meeting at Reggie Davis before you move over there. So I think it's helpful to see it, and I think that's one of those things that you need to see. It's really hard to sort of envision, but I mean, that gym is a very, very generous size, and so the spaces around it don't necessarily reflect their size as well in the plan. I think when you see the spaces, you'll see that they're pretty generous, and we're doing things to improve them and upgrade them. This is the beginning, so this is our project kickoff, right? So we're soliciting feedback, and we're getting comment, and somebody's gonna have to tell me what the barn looks like, and then we can have a conversation. So recognize this is a starting point, and we did a lot of iterative work, as the folks at Park Road Sedgefield will attest, as we're doing with folks at Chantilly and Millersville, and the same thing here. So we're soliciting more feedback now, recognizing this is where we are today.
I'll add, I've been in the theater and dance days. Mr. Michael, you're going to think you've done hell to heaven compared to what you're living in here. So it is definitely an upgrade. His instrument storage is like stacked up student desks right now. New and proper instrument storage room. It's very nice. So I think you guys will be happy.
And I'm happy to hear that from you, Ms. Melanie, because I also am concerned about the elective space, not to belittle our gen ed teachers who are amazing, but I am concerned about, from my very rudimentary understanding of this, it seems like performative Montessori. I'm not really sure who you all are collaborating with, but I think that hitting up our staff here would be a really big hit, especially talking to our agriculture teacher program. I'm concerned about the location of where the goats are, where they'll be housed, and how a teacher can manage students in a faraway goat area and a greenhouse space located somewhere else. It doesn't seem like the safest choice, and it's really what the Montessori secondary program is built upon. So I just would strongly urge you all to meet with our staff specifically here that know about the secondary Montessori program. Peaceful school, not really what Maria was going for.
Got it.
I was wondering about what materials and furnishings will be new and what materials and furnishings will be new, what Montessori materials will be getting new in the space.
And you're talking about the furniture?
Furniture, shelving, but then also materials. There's specific Montessori materials that live on the shelves.
Don't mind knowing more about that.
Right, so I mean, we're starting with what's here, right? And as we're building out, because we're going to be adding classrooms potentially, like so, we will make sure that we outfit every classroom with the sort of Montessori materials that are appropriate to that age as we move through that. So we'll do an inventory of what's here. We'll see what the delta is. We'll solicit feedback from the staff as we have at other Montessori schools, and we'll come up with an FFI list.
But we'll be taking our high tables, low tables.
Yes. The point would be to take everything that's good and can be reused, right? Recognizing that some stuff that might have some age on it, we may want to replace. We might need to outfit other classrooms. We might need to take care of the balance of some things in certain classrooms. So all that assessment will be done as part of this.
And then, so the jargon that you need to keep your ear out for is FF and E. So when people start talking about having an FF and E meeting and talking about FF and E, they're talking about fixtures, furniture, and equipment. And so, if the planning staff says that and you're interested in furniture, those are the meetings to go to.
I had a couple questions. One was, I didn't hear anything about the pigs. And secondly, it seemed to be a very open campus, and I do have concerns about that particular area and the fact that here we do have fencing, so we can tell when there's an intruder on campus, but having our courtyard openly available and accessible from the community garden is a concern for me.
Yeah, so currently it is just fencing. It's just kind of chain link, low chain link fencing. So it's not sort of a hard physical barrier there. And so the thinking there is to try to at least start off with a sort of an open feeling, more welcoming environment, and hopefully, that interaction with the community can happen in a peaceful way.
And again, the school has been in operation there in various iterations, including actually a K-12 program. So at one point, the entire military global leadership pipeline, K-12, was located on that campus and used both the old Marie G. Davis, which was actually the original Kennedy Junior High, as well as the new building. And so we have long been a good neighbor, and those neighbors have long been good neighbors to us.
As you're updating the classroom spaces, are you adding more storage to those rooms for the teachers? And also, as you're moving the bathrooms from like elementary bathrooms, are they going out in the hallway? And will there be options to have non-gender restrooms as well?
So the K1 toilets are, they're not going to be replaced, they're just gone. So, and the fixture count is sufficient to accommodate the school. So the unisex toilet, I believe there is a unisex toilet in the facility. I can't remember exactly where it is. But that's kind of the terminology that you'd see on a plan, the unisex toilet. Or family bathroom, sometimes that's what they.
I have a follow-up question too. One, also concerned with using this for our kids. Second, I didn't see anything on those plans regarding our art lab. We have a pretty significant art program here. Some of our artists have really excelled, and I want to make sure that there's proper space for that. And our science lab is pretty extensive if you look at it. Just want to make sure that's in line. But my primary concern in this discussion is echoing what that said about the community for teachers, but about the community garden and whether the public's going to be accessing that, and that could impact their infringing upon some of our animals and upon some of our students, and I'm big concerns about the safety of that as we get started in our move of just having people from the community on campus during the day.
Yeah, I think the original concept based on the district's past experience with the neighborhood is that it's going to be a great collaborative environment, and so those community gardens are there as an opportunity to have that collaboration. And so how far that collaboration goes is kind of not really within our control.
We'll evaluate what we're hearing here about the siting and where things need to be located and all that. I mean, like one of the things that we know is the beds need sunlight, right? So we've got to figure out where all the campus lives go, and if there's a better spot for the greenhouse, or how we're connected to the goats. And nobody told me that we're going to be pigs, but so as we sort through those things, right? So this may change. Again, you're seeing the first iteration, and that's the point of coming out and getting the feedback.
Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Michael here, dance teacher. I have a few questions here about the space, and I do appreciate Ms. Melanie earlier saying really anything is better than what we have here at J.T. Williams right now for our high school students. But my concern is over space for high school students. Right now, I have a class of 36 kids, and we're wall to wall in their room right now. So storage being an issue. And I noticed on the blueprints there that we just kind of have a band room and then a storage room, but no practice rooms, no additional storage area for small rehearsals, no practice rooms. And then the other thing is the distance from where that band room is currently on the floor plans from the stage, but it is close to the gym. We, as a theater and band cohort here, expected to have our performances in the gym, or will that stage be upgraded large enough for a band that has like 80, 90 kids?
So I know we have plans for technology upgrades for the site, the sound, so the visual piece around that on the stage. If there's something we need to look at relative to size or whatever, that's something we can evaluate. But we were definitely upgrading the technology and the infrastructure to make sure that you had something that befit the high school program that you got here.
Not to bring it back to the animals, but we do have.
There are cows, right? We're rolling this out like one at a time. Oh, by the way, we've got this Brahma bowl.
Well, not yet.
Right.
But the outdoor program is the essence of secondary Montessori, and that is the program that we can't build on the site currently.
Right.
So as much as we are joking about other random animals that are breeding for our farm, we really do need a plan for how we're going to build that aspect of it, because that is what makes the Montessori program unique and essential to it.
think part of that was also leaving part of the canvas for you to paint on, right? So recognizing that we have the building that we're taking down and all of that green space. So what does that look like? What can that become? So not just for today, but also for the future. I think one of the things that's always helpful is not buying all the furniture before you move into the house. And so some of this is you get in and you figure out what works, what doesn't work, and how you want to make some changes if there's augmentation or other things that we need to do. So we're also not walking away. It's not August 25th, we have the keys, we walk away either. So there's opportunities for things to evolve as we go through this process.
I had the question of where is the Central project currently? Because many of us were very disappointed to be pushed back a year, and I don't know whether I tried to check online first before asking this. I couldn't see clearly, but is it on track now?
For the Millwork School replacement project, the Park Road site, the school there, that's always been on target. Nothing's wrong with the timeline there. What had shifted was the timeline around the boundary that needed to be adjusted for that school. So they've slid that now to April. I believe they're going to start holding community engagement meetings in April around the boundary for that school. So that will impact the Luigi Davis students who are assigned there, and that will be resolved here at the end of that process. So it was actually redrawing the boundary around Luigi Davis that slowed this down and not the construction project.
So it's an option that might also slow down things like redraw boundary of the Central campus.
No, I believe they're moving forward with the meetings in April, recognizing that we have to make this move. So we did delay, but everything that we're doing and the work that we're doing and everything is predicated on that.
So demolition will start this summer.
Demolition will start this summer.
Once those buildings are demolished, then are we going to test that soil area? And when we demolish the building, are we demolishing the building and removing the pad as well, or leaving the pad for a different time?
No, it's going to be greenfield when it's gone.
I'm just thinking from having consent field, that building was demolished, but pad now it's
Right, well, not just because of the civil work that we were doing at Sedgefield and the timing of that, all of that work, was there were some surface utilities, there were other things. You didn't want to bring the contractor in, dig it all up, put it back, and dig it up again. So that was actually just tied to the phasing of the work in Sedgefield. Here, we don't have to worry about any of those things because none of the utilities or anything that's under the existing buildings serve anything else. So we can go ahead and scrape it at one time.
I have a follow-up question about soils. I'm not super familiar with the history of this site, but that part of town was zoned industrial for a long, long time. The initial phase 1 environmental study that you did you test the soils, especially in the places where you slated the goods are to be eating the gardens?
I think there is some testing done. Most of phase 1 is historical data where they look at how it was used and recommendations for like the level of testing. Mike, do you know if there's actual soil testing in phase 1, or that's just, I think they just identify if there was any uses, suspect uses there that would necessitate it.
Yeah, that's the big thing, and see what other sort of remediation might need to be done or if additional study is required. We know that in the area, yes, there are some issues with groundwater contamination in the area, but again, we're not sinking any wells, so that's not something that's necessarily a concern. And anything that we find in the soil or in the building pad, because crazy things happen when we demolished Robertson Elementary School. We found the underside of the pad was for some reason coated in asbestos. So there are things that you find when you do a demolition that lead you to do something else. So we take all those precautions at each step as we go. So we'll know more as we know more once we're in and underneath all of it, but there's nothing today that gives us any sort of concern about the use.
With the courtyard and the community garden and such, I know you indicated that there would be a fence. Will the students have access in and out of the buildings with badges as they do here, or is that just common throughout high schools, or kind of how is the security of the building?
So one of the things that inside the building unless you're outside being supervised. So from the standpoint of not moving in between buildings or any of those sorts of things, you're not really doing that. You're inside the building for the course of the day. So that way it behaves a lot more like a regular middle school or high school, with then the access to the outside for the students. There are doors from classrooms to the outside. There are doors from other spaces to the outside. So getting the students outside to take care of the outdoor curriculum and access all of those features is not a problem. But the safety and security at the same time, you've got one entry point at the front, one entry point at the bus lot, and once you're in, right? So you're in a more secure environment in the event that something does happen.
But except for the outdoor curriculum and agriculture pieces,
Right.
like how will they move in and out? I'm assuming the other doors are secured.
Right.
But I would think there's more movement organically throughout the campus than on a normal high school.
Absolutely. So part of that will be how the staff manages that, but you've got doors at the end of the hallways. You've got with badge readers and things like that. So being able to move in and out that way, and not just having to go in and out through those two entry points, but the point being your primary intake points are happening in two places. And again, we're taking guests and visitors and things in the secure entry with the scanner, with the EVU system, and all those sorts of things.
Hi, Brian Framingham, incoming 8th grader this fall. Is any part of this project federally funded, or is there any reliance on the Department of Education?
The project itself, no. So I'm going to give a little quick commercial. So boards of education in the state of North Carolina don't have funding authority. So they can't levy taxes like in other places. So if you're not from North Carolina, you don't understand how dumb the funding model is here. The federal government gives us a very little amount of money, and it's all for programs and people, not for construction. The federal government doesn't give us a dime to build, renovate, or replace schools. The state hasn't done a bond since 1997, so 100% of the money that we get to build, renovate, and replace schools comes from the voters of Mecklenburg County, when Mecklenburg County government allows us to go and ask you for the money. So 2023, we had a bond referendum. Thanks everybody who voted for that, because that's what funded this work. So it's the 2023 bond proceeds that are paying for this. So it's funded, we're safe, we're secure, we have the money in the bank, we're ready to go.
Thanks, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Recently I saw on the board website that they funded $4 million for this project. A lot of times this project gets coupled into the Park Road, Dilworth, Sedgefield. What is the total all-in when you talk about having money afterwards for this part of the
I don't remember at the moment what our total value is for this project, but it's on the website. So the $4 million was the CM contract for this project. So that was the money specifically for this project.
Yeah, so the budget was $4 million and went out for competitive bidding, and it came in right in at $4 million.
But so my question is then, when you said that there's going to be like time for additional thinking and things like that, where is that money coming from then when we've essentially allocated what we've said?
So we have a contract value, right, but it reflects certain things, and so as we make changes, right, it's all within that. So if we don't do A but we do B, it's still within the same amount of money. It's fungible. These aren't permanent plans that we're going to build tomorrow, is what I'm saying. So there's still opportunity to make some adjustments and still be within that budget, because we're deciding to do something different than what we were going to do. Yes, and so there's our dashboard on the website, so you can see all of the projects, whether they've been started or not, and the total budget value, progress, whether they're under construction and design, not started. And so there's the valuation, and you can see we're in design right now. So $9,174,000 is total.
Is there anything in the design to allow for increased collaboration in our middle school programs that work in pairs? So it would be those math, science, and language history would be next to each other. Anything just in the design, like a door between those rooms, or anything to help those collaborations, those
we added a few, some of the CTE classrooms that are adjacent to the experiential learning have some exterior doors that kind of connect those rooms out to the outdoors. As far as classroom to classroom communicating doors, I don't know if those are necessarily put in to the.
Can you put the floor plan back up?
Will there be bike lots at the school?
I'm sorry? Say that again?
Will there be bike lots?
Bike lots, there are a whole lot of bike racks. And they're covered. So there's a big front canopy. I haven't really illustrated it on the plan, but all these little dots represent a covered canopy. And that's covered for drop off and pickup. But it's also covered in here, and there's a whole bunch of bike racks.
Is there anything for sports? I saw the football field that would allow us to participate in certain sports.
So the issue with high school sports for a program this size is that we don't control conferences or alliance or any of those sorts of things. The State High School Athletic Association does it. So based on the number of students that you field, if you were to try and field a team under the NCHSSAA, you might be a 1A school, and that would be wonderful because your closest away game would be an hour and a half away. So it doesn't always make sense to do those sorts of things just because of what it means for the students to participate that way. So historically, what we've done in the high school grades is allow students to participate in sports at their home school if that's something that they want, because otherwise it just creates another sort of issue with trying to participate in the appropriate size classification.
But from a PE standpoint, there's so what there currently is a gym with a pretty big spectator seating area. There's an auxiliary gym off the back, and we understood that the current curriculum, the way the school currently is utilized is a lot of weight training, and so we'll be adding specialized flooring to that area to be able to accommodate weight equipment. And of course, it was originally built as a middle school, so or middle high. So there are locker rooms to facilitate a PE program in it.
Yeah, so the question I was wondering is the opportunity to have space for like trades, like any type of trades for schools right now.
So we have these two CTE classrooms here on the ground floor with connections to the exterior, and how those are used. I think currently they're envisioned to be used for agricultural curriculum, but that would be kind of the spaces that would be envisioned for expanded career development.
CTE stands for Career Technical Education, so that's basically what you would have called the trade sort of curriculum before.
Sorry, I have a lot of questions. So CMS no longer allows for cooking lunches in school. Is there any way to utilize the kitchen area for something else?
So you do have the life skills classrooms with the pages. Right.
The actual kitchen area?
Yeah, I mean like the kitchen, the food prep, because they don't cook lunches over there. It's brought in, that's what CMS Nutrition does now. So that's kind of almost like a waste of space. Could we use that for something?
So I think,
We want to use the lunches.
Right.
We're trying to get this one open next year, but we want our lunches cooked on the site.
Yeah,
It's much better food and they don't run out.
right. That's our plan, is to actually staff and run the kitchen, right? So that's part of the plan.
Probably no one else is interested.
We got another question.
type or made like a mechanical type?
So I don't know specifically, but I know my kids at their makerspace at their elementary school have like a 3D printer. They store their Legos in there for the Lego Club. A lot of project-based stuff. Paper cutters.
I was thinking more technology, but
Yeah, I think a 3D printer. Typically, one of those. I don't know if the school provides, out of the box a 3D printer, but that's
Yeah, we would do that. The 3D printer. You're not going to lose anything that you have here today, and then it would be talking about what we need on. Yeah, one more question over here. Yeah, and we'll hang out afterwards too, so we can come up and ask questions after.
So, I know we're only in the design part, but if you guys know if the makerspace room is going to be like sustainably stocked with stuff, because I know right now you don't always have poster boards and stuff, so I was wondering if there are any difference for this one.
Right, yeah, and so that's a fair question. So when we open a school, we provide everything that's needed for right now for opening. We can't project everything that's going to be needed in 5 or 10 years, right? So some things that are consumables do have to be replaced, and I think that's one of the things that Ms. Call was talking about in the fundraising piece. But that there are opportunities for folks to work new curriculum and new materials as well.
Have you ever heard the term squeaky wheel gets the grease? Yeah, squeaky wheel.
Is there a plan, since we're in this design phase, and I'm hearing a lot of, it feels like, from my perspective, that we have not spent a lot of time talking to our staff about what their needs are in this building. So our middle schools don't operate like traditional middle schools. They work in partnerships and in communities, and that connecting door is really important. Is there a plan to meet with the staff to make sure that their needs
All right. So we want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We do have some pictures up here as well. If people want to come and look. As we close out, we will hang out. So if anybody has any questions they want to ask one-on-one, we're here. Again, this is not the last time you're going to see us. We do appreciate you coming out tonight. Please continue to send your questions, your comments, your feedback. Follow us on all the social media stuff. Visit the website.